The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is Rebecca with the Washington Food Industry Association. Thank you for joining our COVID-19 update. And as always, I just wanted to remind everyone to please mute yourselves on your end so that when we get to the question portion, we're not getting any background noise. You can ask questions either you can click the little hand raise button or ask them in the questions pane on the little side panel, or once we start unmuting people, feel free to jump in with a question if you have one. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. So our first speaker is Mark Costello from the Small Business Administration. He's spoke to us a few times, and we've got new information on the Paycheck Protection Program. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have him come back and give you an update on that. So Mark, thank you for helping us out today. And with that, I will turn it over to you. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Tammy, and Rebecca as well. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. Yeah, we've certainly been through a few different iterations now of these SBA loan programs. So I wanted to just provide kind of a quick snapshot of where things are with both the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program as well as the Paycheck Protection Program. And Tammy has been kind enough to pull up the SBA website that actually is sort of the portal to getting information on both of these programs. So it's sba.gov/coronavirus. And then you can kind of go to funding options, which is that first link there under content. And then that's going to take you to, I think, right under there where it says click here to learn more about available SBA. There you go. It's not quite as straightforward as you might like to see. And then I think there's a way to just yes, perfect. That's it. So we still have these handy dandy graphics for folks to be able to visualize our different programs and where they are. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program first. This is you guys might recall, this was the first relief program that SBA made available a couple months back. And admittedly, the rollout and execution of the program has been very, very choppy. But the good news, there is some good news here, is that it continues to be funded. And I actually just saw some loan activity results as of Friday, I believe, that indicated that there have been about 1.3 million of these economic injury disaster loans approved for right around $90 billion. So they seem to be averaging around 50,000 or so per loan. There continues to be an opportunity for a cash advance, which is going to be a function of the number of employees in the company or in the applicant business, up to a total amount of $10,000. And I believe that there have been about 3 million of these advances done. So kind of gives you the idea, the sense that there was a huge application backlog to be dealt with. And I think on the positive side of things, clearly SBA is starting to work through these. Looks like we're approving about 200,000 loans a week. So I'm hopeful that those folks that have made application are going to see some positive results if you haven't already. Keeping in mind that this is pretty flexible funding that can help you meet operating expenses out over what's supposed to be about a 6-month period. With not a lot of limitations in terms of what you can do with the funding. It's 3.75% fixed rate financing. that could be programmed out over as much as 30 years. With a built-in 12-month deferment. So hopefully we're going to continue to have funding to be closing these loans at an accelerated rate, and those folks that are waiting for this idle funding are going to get that soon. So the other piece on that is that there was over the last probably, I want to say about 4-week period, the idle application itself had been limited to only agricultural businesses. As of yesterday, the application portal has been reopened to all eligible businesses, and by the way, to all eligible nonprofit organizations as well. So as far as the Paycheck Protection Program, I think Tammy or Rebecca made an earlier comment, I think when we were talking, that there's money available, and it's true. So we have now seen about 4.3 million Paycheck Protection Program loans approved across the country through 2 different phases of CARES Act funding. For approximately $510 billion. So a really monumental number of these loans have in fact been executed and funded. Again, kind of like the idle, only on a more accelerated basis. This one has been a little choppy at times, but the good news is a couple of things. First of all, if you have not yet considered or pursued a Paycheck Protection Program loan, that money is still out there to support the program. And we have a pretty wide variety of local lenders that are able to put these loans in place quickly. They don't currently have big backlogs, as you can imagine. They've worked through the backlogs, and so if you're interested in finding out more about the program, I would recommend you go to the website, or you could shoot me an email. It's mark.costello@sba.gov, and I would be happy to talk with you directly or share some ideas about maybe 5 or 6 different lenders that you could reach out to. The Paycheck Protection Program itself is going to actually expire on June 30th. So if you are one of these businesses that maybe hasn't yet pursued this, but you think it might be a fit, my recommendation is that you want to act with pretty considerable haste, because obviously it's going to take a little time for you to get your materials together. It's going to take a little bit of time for a lender to put a submission to SBA, but there is ample time right now if you were to kind of initiate that process. So I would encourage you to take a look at it if you haven't done so yet. For those people that actually have already received Paycheck Protection Program loans, the kind of hot topic of late has been loan forgiveness. So SBA came out a couple weeks back with a loan forgiveness application, and we've subsequently come out with some additional guidance as to how that loan forgiveness process is going to work. As has been the case, though, with this program, it continues to evolve. And here just a couple days ago, it was in fact on June 5th, the president passed or signed into law the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act. And this is important, especially for people that still have PPP money that they haven't yet spent. There's now enhanced, as the law indicates, flexibility with regard to how that can be done. Specifically, a couple of different things have changed. When the program was enacted at the outset, there was an 8-week what they call covered period during which the funds needed to be spent. And you might recall that this was a paycheck, payroll focused program. And with that in mind, 75% of the funds needed to be spent on payroll in order to achieve loan forgiveness. Both of those parameters have changed pursuant to this new legislation. So first of all, the 8 weeks has been extended out to 24 weeks, and the 75% requirement for payroll has been reduced to 60%. And so what that means is you can actually spend 40% now, up to 40% on things like rent, utilities, interest on existing mortgage debt. So there's a little bit more potential impact in how the money can be used, but maybe more importantly, there's more flexibility in terms of the timing. So you don't have to necessarily spend all of the money here in the next week or two. It can actually go out, as I mentioned, up to 24 weeks out to, in fact, the end of this year. There are actually other flexibilities that are incorporated into the program that would allow businesses that have not been able to re-engage fully because of some of the different kinds of shutdown orders and things of that nature, to also have what would be considered a safe harbor as far as being able to achieve forgiveness on the debt. So in other words, if a business was not able to return to their full level of payroll by the end of this year, but it's a business that's been impacted because of some of the mandatory things that have been put in place, and those impacts have been on revenues and so forth, the business would have a way better chance of achieving forgiveness of the PPP loan than they would have had previously if they didn't achieve the return to the full employment level. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I want to say that there's information again on the website here that you can delve into with more details about this forgiveness process. Hopefully what we're waiting for is an updated forgiveness application that's going to incorporate all of the fine details of the Flexibility Act. And the expectation is that that should be coming out in a matter of days. But in the meantime, again, if you have money that's been dispersed, PPP funds that you've yet to spend, it's important to know that you have more flexibility associated with those. And if you've spent all the PPP money and you've done what you were supposed to do, you're going to have an easier process, more than likely, because of the Flexibility Act in achieving loan forgiveness. Finally, there was one other piece there that I wanted to mention. The Flexibility Act provided for a longer maturity on, so in situations where a loan is not fully forgiven, the original CARES Act requirement was that those loans needed to be termed out over 2 years. So whatever the amount that isn't forgiven is going to be paid back over 2 years. There's a 6-month payment deferment associated with that. The new legislation extends that 2-year payment period, payback period, out to 5 years. So if you are somebody that got your PPP loan before the new legislation was enacted, and you do end up with some unforgiven debt that needs to be repaid, it's not going to automatically trigger a 5-year maturity, because that original loan was written with a 2-year maturity. That doesn't mean that that can't be put in place, and so our guidance is going to be for businesses that have remaining debt as a result of the PPP and unforgiveness of some of that debt to coordinate with their lender to extend the pay period or payback period from 2 years to 5 years. So, hey, with that, I know that's a lot of information. Tammy, maybe I'd turn it back over to you, see if anybody has any questions right now, or if you wanted me to stay around, I'm happy to do that.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I think we do have some questions in here. Rebecca, do you want to take over on the questions?
Sure. So there's one here. It says, do you have to pick 8 weeks or 24 weeks? Can it be 15 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. It came up, I think we were doing a webinar yesterday with the Tacoma Pierce County Chamber, and no, the answer is it can be anything in between. 24 is the maximum.
Okay, that is the only question we have in the question box. I'm looking to see if anyone marked that they wanted to. Looks like that is the only question.
Okay.
So everyone knows how to reach out to me or to Mark, and we can make sure that we answer any additional questions that may come up. Mark, again, I want to thank you so much. We appreciate that you're always willing to come on and talk to the members and help them out with this. So
Absolutely.
thank you. Have a great day. We look forward to talking to you again.
Okay. Thanks, you guys. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye. Okay, so thank you, everyone. I want to move on, and we've got quite a few things to cover today. We had a question that came up last week. Ken at Prairie Center Red Apple had noticed on the template for phase 3, the safety questionnaire that is on the governor's website, that on page 4, under your communication plan, it had required that you have a log of every person coming in. You know, our understanding was that was a restaurant issue, but it was on there for everyone and it didn't have clarifications. So after several text messages to the governor's office, we finally were able to get that resolved. You do not have to have a log unless you have a restaurant or a deli, and they are fixing that form so it will no longer be on there. It will have more clarification. So thank you for bringing that to my attention, and we did get that resolved. Let's see. Oh, and Dawn, I see that you just popped a question up on how do you reach out to Mark. I will get that information for all of you and give it to you before we end this session today. So let's see. We also had a question come up last week on challenges or problems with some vendors coming into your stores and not wearing masks and saying that they didn't have to. So yes, they do have to, and we have asked Labor and Industries to address this issue for us. They are going to do a letter. It'll just be a short, quick letter that just explains that this is a governor's directive of a safe start and that everyone is required to wear a mask. And you can give that to any vendors who are not cooperating or giving you any trouble on that. So we are going to have that resolved. We should have that letter very soon, and we'll make sure we post it on New This Week on the website. Jan, I'm going to turn it over to you. You have some updates for everyone as well.
Thank you, Tammy. Yes, we've been on and off on the self-serve salad bars and the bulk food bins. Department of Health issued the phase 2. The governor's office a few days later had him pull it back. Finally, the Department of Health and the governor are in agreement, and it is the original document the Department of Health sent out. So it is now posted on our website. And so that is for phase 2. The only difference the Department of Health said that will occur for phase 3 is the frequency in which you clean. So right now they have you cleaning hourly on the touch points and the tools, the serving tools. So that guidance is back up on our website. And if you're in phase 3, they have not issued that guidance for us, but you know, I would just follow phase 2 because right now, with the numbers that we're seeing, we probably should be as cautious as possible, and phase 2 requires hourly cleaning. So the other thing, just before this call started, Dave Willis with Willis Marketing, who's one of our great vendors and a past chair of the board of the association, sent me over several documents dealing with olive bars. I haven't had a chance, Dave, to review those or run them through the Department of Health, but do you want to give a quick summary on what's in those documents that you asked us to go ahead and post on our website? I'm assuming you're on the call, Dave. You're usually very faithful about these calls.
I am tracking him down right now so I can make sure he's unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
I can hear you. You kind of like sound in a barrel, but
Sorry. Yeah, you know, we were excited a couple weeks ago when the Department of Health was on this call, and we learned that maybe self-service food was going to be able to go live again. And then we tagged onto that with olives and olive bars, because we've been doing a lot of just pre-packing olives in containers as the bars have all gone away. And so then the governor's office stopped that. So now we're helping with Food Match, our olive manufacturer, to go around as they are around the country to help the different Food and Drug and Health, Department of Health departments around the country consider that olives, you know, in the contact part of self-serve should be safe. And there's the documentation I sent you for your vetting, so you could better get it out to the association members and guests for us to hopefully get moving forward on that as just another part of you know, moving out of this COVID-19 restriction of business that we have in some areas. I mean, center groceries going crazy, right? But you know, delis and bakeries in the stores have been hit pretty hard. So we were hoping that this will be part of that, you know, health and coming out the other end. So, you know, Jen, is that kind of what you're thinking?
yeah, that's great, Dave. And I appreciate you doing that. And yeah, the olive bars fit under the self-serve, so you can reopen those. The document won't be published till tomorrow, but as of yesterday, the governor's office gave the nod, so it's all legal to go ahead and reopen. So Dave, I'll work with you and the Department of Health, and I always like to double check with them and make sure they agree to what we're saying are best practices. So I'll stay in touch with you after I talk to them. Thank you though.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And that goes, you know, for all of you, especially early on, you submitted a lot of great best practices that we were able to post and help people out with. So please, you know, keep it coming if you come up with something. Oh, you know, I just see, Tammy, I see a question from Jack's Country Store. Says, with phase 3 and 4, is there any state documentation on what the occupancy level or restrictions are for retail establishments? So yeah, phase, now retail establishments, I'm assuming we're talking about, well, you say general mercantile, which then I would put primarily as a grocery store. So it's 30% under 2, it's 50% under 3. And we've not heard about 4 firmly, but we believe it's going to be 75% under phase 4. So that's the information we have to date, because some of you are in phase 3 now and bumped up to 50%. So hope that answers your question. And I think at this point we want to see if there are any other questions in the question box, or if you want to unmute and see if anybody has questions.
I have unmuted. There was a question, and I think Tammy answered it in the box, but I'll go ahead and read it just so everyone knows. Question on the log, deli. Is it required only if you offer in-store seating? And yes, that is correct. Only if you have in-store seating. And then another one, the letter should state appropriate mask. Vendors tend to wear cloth masks and not medium risk masks.
Good point.
Yeah, definitely.
Where on your website did you repost the phase 2 document concerning cold and hot self-serve bars?
Yeah, Melissa and I did this about an hour ago. It says up right. Yeah, you had, there you are. So it's called phase 2 food establishments, and then it's dash. I think you had what, mask update? How did you? Oh, just updated right there. Okay. One of the other questions I got last week was how do you know what to expect through phase 3 and phase 4? And if you go on our website, and in fact the updated doc is on here, it's called Reopening, and what they did is the reopenings manual that the governor's office created, they went back in and they updated it on the mask section because they had it so confusing. But it was up on there.
Hey, Jan, it's under the category reopening, and it's the Safe Start document with the mask revision.
Okay, thanks, Melissa. So for those of you that have questions on what to anticipate through phase 3 or phase 4, it gives kind of the broad direction. But then the governor's office, the agencies have to draft these guidelines on all these different topics and then put them over to the governor's office, and they have to be reviewed and approved. And that is what's taking us so long to get answers to your questions. And then the governor's office sends them back to the agencies, and if the governor's office hasn't already told us, then the agency tells us that it is confirmed. So that's as good as it gets with the phase, because they're working with all these other industries trying to help them figure out what to do. So information is starting to slow down quite a bit now. I don't know if you want to continue with the weekly. We can just start cutting them short based on if we have any new information, or cancel if we absolutely have no information or no new information. Are there any other?
Jan, this is Jeff Phillips. I'd like to see us leave this time slot there, and if you don't have any additional information to share, just send out a cancellation for that one, but leave the time slot there so that we're all have it set aside.
Okay, Jeff, good recommendation. We'll do that.
And
yeah, definitely.
We just got a rather lengthy question here. Question regarding high-risk employees. Does anyone have high-risk employees due to underlying health conditions that are out on leave per a doctor's recommendation? If so, how are you addressing any return to work dates, or which phase? Previously, Governor's Proclamation 20-46 prohibited employers from failing to maintain employer-related health insurance benefits until the employee is deemed eligible to return to work. That proclamation was effective through June 12th and has now been amended to August 1st. We provide full-time employees with 100% paid premiums for medical benefits, but these employees have now been out longer since March and April. We don't want to seem unreasonable, but at some point that employee needs to either come back to work or pay for the medical benefits. We are just curious how anyone else, if any, is handling these types of situations, as it doesn't seem this is going to go away anytime soon.
Oh.
Does anybody else, any of our members want to jump in and give your experience?
And just as a reminder, we also sent out the invitation for the member chat as well, if that's something that could more easily be shared that route.
Yeah, Melissa, why don't you cover that quickly, just as a refresher, or for people that weren't on the call last time?
So I sent out an email, I think it was either last week or yesterday, but it's to sign up for our listserv. And so we're still sort of testing that out. And so we're capping the amount of people at 100. And then once I get you into the system, and I'll send out an email and also post that to our website. But once I get you into the system, it will generate an email to you, and then you'll be part of the listserv group.
Yeah, that's a great point. This would be a good question for the listserv to bounce some ideas off of, because we are in some unprecedented times here, and this is definitely a unique situation that is not going to go away soon. So with that, should we move on? Kat, do you want to give us an update on special session?
We did
Tammy,
Yeah.
before we do that, I just checked with our HR person regarding the question that was just asked about how long do you have to carry people on the insurance deal? And it's her understanding that, with the governor's extension of that you are required to carry that person on your insurance plan at your cost for that entire period, up until he releases that date.
Yeah.
And we also
that's correct.
We also just got a suggestion to advise the member to call their attorney regarding high-risk workers.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Kat, do you want to share?
Yes. Hi, this is Kat Holm, your Legislative Director and Legal Counsel. I wanted to update you all on the special session that we keep hearing rumors about. At this point, we are anticipating a special session after the primary, so most likely in August, to solve the budget shortfall. According to the Director of Office of Financial Management, the governor is not interested in solving the budget problem with an all cuts budget, even though the agencies are being told to reduce their spending by 15%. At this point, no lawmakers have brought up ideas for solving the budget except for Representative Chop. On Thursday, Representative Chop proposed a package of taxes and spending, which includes a capital gains tax, a payroll tax, and a head tax. Money raised would be spent on public health services, childcare, early learning, workforce education, affordable housing, and other programs. The proposed taxes would produce $2 billion per year in new revenue. It is important to note that no other legislator signed on to this package, and no businesses and no associations that I know of knew of this proposal before it was released last week. I want to be very clear that this is just a proposal, and it seems to be only the beginning of the discussion of raising taxes. If you have any questions about this issue or any other issues, please let me know. I'm always available for questions and comments. Thanks.
Any questions for Kat? So with that, I guess I would open it up to just ask if there's any new issues, questions, or anything else you'd like to address before we close our session today. Okay. Well, if anyone has anything that comes up, we're here. Please email us or call us. We're happy to help any way we can.
Really worked a deal on that one.
We
But I
appreciate your
know
time.
we've quoted barbecue.
So if anyone needs anything, thank you again. Have a great week, and we're here for you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.